Gotta use it. All right, here we go. So, welcome, man. Thanks again for hopping on the call here. Like I said, we're just gonna run through a few questions and just kind of say what comes to mind. All right. All right, brother. So, first off, let's kind of just start with where we started. Okay. How did you find Built Bodies program, and what made you want to sign up?
Okay, so I actually follow I forget his name, but the other coach
Alan, yeah, yeah.
on Instagram, and that's kind of how I found, and then I reached out, and then that's kind of how I started.
Cool, cool. Was there anything that you were feeling hesitant about as to like signing up, or what was going on in your head there?
Yeah, I don't think it was like the program structure itself that I was hesitant about. I think it was just the cost. Uh,
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
for me, coming from a program that was a little bit less.
Hmm.
This current program, I think it was like a definitely a step for me to take if I wanted to take it.
For sure.
But I'm glad I took it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah, I totally get that, man. I'm like a big buyer's remorse guy. Like, it could be the smallest thing. As soon as I purchase it, I'm like, why did I do that? But more times than not, it pays off. So I'm glad that it's obviously been working out for you. We'll get to that here in a second. But with that, what was the problem you were facing before joining? What was like your biggest hurdle when it came to fitness?
Hmm. So I was in a cutting process prior to joining the
Mhm.
program. Started bulking a little bit, but it just felt like it wasn't, um, let's say, client-centered enough in the
Okay.
previous program. It it was like it felt okay, but I didn't really feel like I was getting what I was hoping for.
Hmm.
Um, and then transitioning to this program, it was everything's been great so far.
Okay. That's exciting, man. Cool that like you came from previous program. It was cheaper, but you felt like you weren't getting what you paid for, and now you're paying a little bit more, but sounds like it's working out and it's paying off. Sound good?
Hmm.
Heck yeah, man. And we've come a long, long way. So let's talk about that, right? Like we came to the program, you were coming from that cutting phase, a little bit different of a mindset, but we wanted to turn you around and start building that muscle and getting you in a nice frame. So what would you say is your biggest win so far, the biggest transformation that you've had?
Ooh,
It's hard to
I,
pick one,
I
right?
think it's just yeah, I think it's just a win all in like all around.
Yeah.
I feel like my body's I've definitely gotten stronger over the program in a pace I've not seen before.
That's
So
awesome.
I catch myself like just looking at the weights that I'm pushing, and I was just like, wow, I'm really like lifting these weights now.
Yeah.
So that's been a joy at the gym.
Heck yeah.
But also seeing my body change in a positive direction.
Hmm.
Um, when I prior to the cut in a different program, I was just I've been working out for a couple of years, kind of lacking structure a little bit. So whenever I had just been on a bulk for like the longest time. I didn't
Yeah.
even know what a cut was.
Yeah.
And so I had gained excessive amount of fat as a result. And it wasn't like, yeah, sure, I gained. Yeah, I was working out, but um, it wasn't quite optimal. Let's just
Yeah,
say.
there you go. Right.
Um, yeah, and then with this program, it's kind of been just the perfect amount of gains, and
Perfect.
we're going like pretty steady. I feel like it's really centered, client centered.
Yeah.
Really personalized. So it felt like if everything all in all just feels pretty good. Yeah.
Good to hear, man. Yeah, it was a little bit of a slow start, right? Just with your lifestyle, your career, you worked some crazy shifts. So it took I think a month or two to get that ball rolling, but then it was like a switch just flipped for you and you started nailing everything, super compliant with nutrition, and everything you were doing just really started to compound. And sounds like we've made more progress in the last like 6 months here than you were making in those couple of years prior, right? Heck yeah, it's really awesome what can happen when you just dial in that like next like 20-30%, right? We don't have to be perfect. We can get away with about 80%, but when we're down at like 50-60, doesn't really get that ball rolling, at least in a way that feels good, right? You might see a little bit for a month, but then you feel like you kind of backtrack. And right now for us, over the last 4, 5, 6 months, we've been kind of just cruising, like you said, in that nice, steady direction here, seeing really positive changes. And I can just see you right now. I remember when we first hopped on our call, like how filled out you look in that shirt, your arms, your shoulders are popping right now. So it's really exciting to watch you just grow through this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've had a pretty sustainable approach so far as well. Are you feeling good about that?
Yeah, 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 definitely. It's what's been really nice, is that the diet is very, very like flexible. It's not
Yeah.
like going on like a rat diet, like, oh, let's do keto, or like, let's go do that,
Yeah,
or something
carnivore,
crazy like
whatever.
that. Because I sure as hell can't do that.
Yeah.
But, but it helps that it's very flexible. I've just been pretty much eating anything that I want. It's
Yeah.
funny because I was just talking to a few buddies about it. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm having such like a hard time eating the carbs goal, and my coach was telling me to have a treat or something. And I was just like that. I thought that was like the funniest thing that
Yeah,
he was
right.
telling me to have a treat. But
Yeah.
no, the diet's been very flexible, very sustainable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've just
Love to
been
hear it.
enjoying
Yeah, we're up here at 2,600 calories, man. Just eating what you want. And that's a great thing about doing the macro thing, right? It can be a little bit tedious at first, but when you start to get that understanding of what's in your food and how to make certain things fit, you realize like you can eat pretty much whatever you want, right? Maybe not 3 times a day eating whatever you want, but usually, I mean, once a day you can get away with that little treat or that heavier meal that most in most like diet scenarios you don't think is a possibility. So it was kind of like that day of eating I sent you guys the other day. I was like, I wonder if I could have spaghetti, tacos, and a cheeseburger all in one day. And I just
that.
went there. I did it on my phone. It took me like 5 minutes, and it was like perfect macros. So it's really exciting to kind of take that approach and you really figure out for yourself what fits into your lifestyle and how you can make your favorite meals fit. And yeah, as carbs get a little bit higher, man, you're putting on the weight, putting on the muscle. It's all right. Enjoy that treat, plan for those cookies, have that ice cream, get some pizza with the boys, and it can all fit. So really excited to see you making that work, man. And so now I would ask you where do you feel like you're at in your journey now? Like what do you think is next for you?
Ooh, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah, that's what I love to hear.
I
Heck yeah.
know it's only been, yeah, I it's crazy, but like the amount of results that I've just seen. I mean, obviously results don't come overnight, right?
Mhm.
But just in the last 6 months, yeah, something like that. In the last, yeah, I lose track of time. But in the last 6 months, it's just been crazy how much positive change I've already seen. I
Mhm.
just feel like I'm just getting started. I'm already like super amped
Heck yeah.
for, for the
Awesome
upcoming
to hear.
years,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's giving me goosebumps, bro. And it is. It's so exciting though when you kind of make that commitment, you take your training, you optimize your sleep and your diet, you get that to that next level, you really see the progress take off, and it's motivating, especially when you're still doing it in a sustainable way, right? And you realize that okay, maybe there is no end to this. Like I'm just in it now. I'm committed. It's part of my routine to do the work, and you understand how much better it makes you feel, and you can keep things going for the rest of your life. And you might not be with us until you're 60 years old, but
Hey, you never
you're going to
know.
understand the basics that you need to stay healthy when you are. So it's really exciting to see, man. But one last question for you here is, what would you say to somebody that is thinking about joining up with the program, but is just feeling a little bit hesitant, not sure that they want to make that financial commitment, or maybe they just don't believe in themselves?
Ooh, yeah, I this one is easy easy question. This one is just no success comes from without taking risks.
Yeah.
So you gotta take a risk. Gotta invest in yourself.
Hmm.
But I ensure you'll probably get a good return on your investment if you do.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, well said, brother. Love to hear that. Well, that's about it for me today, man. It's really all the questions I wanted to run through. But do you have anything else to add or? you feel like you got your point across?
Uh oh, I guess like one little last thing is you do a great job at like just kind of pulling me back, like looking at checking out, checking in weekly and then just pulling me back and really just establishing what I need to focus on next week. I think that really helps a lot,
Heck yeah.
especially if someone's easily distracted or if they're really busy. It helps to just kind of like have a and you rank them too. You're like, this is your number one priority. This is your number two.
Yeah, yeah.
That's super helpful to my
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that, man. I know at times it can feel a little repetitive each week, but that's what it is. We just need that reminder and we need to know, okay, I can't check off all five of these things, but what's the three most important things that are kind of going to move me in that right direction and keep the ball rolling? So thanks for saying that, brother.
yeah. That's
Cool.
it.
All
That's
right,
it.
brother. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this recording, but just stay on the call for me for just a second. We'll close out here.